Good morning, South Texas family. Pastor Steve Banning, our assistant superintendent, Pastor Don Wiehe and I wanted to greet you and just spend a few minutes with you today, letting you know that we're here for you. You're in our prayers, and we're trusting God with you during these uncertain times. We wanted to let you know today that our information to you is not something that's prescriptive necessarily. There will be some things that we're going to emphasize today, but as you've heard from the government and some of the officials of our city, some of the mandates that are coming out, the church has a responsibility to comply. So we're here today just to talk about the uncertainty of the times as it relates to the ministries of South Texas and do what we can to help you navigate through this. As you know, that at first we were faced with the 250, no more than 250 in our meetings, and then within a few days it was 50, and now 10. Who knows what it'll be tomorrow? I think in understanding this, where some might think that there's an infringement upon our civil liberties, religious liberties, I would plead that there's another way to think about that, because they're not stating that we cannot worship. They're not saying, they're not giving us when to worship. They're stating where. And so it's an opportunity for the church to rise to the occasion and use the technology that's available to us to continue to spread the gospel. Kind of a catch-20 to me, because we, at a time that we need the faith family more than ever, that seems to be our source of strength. We're forced to, somehow be removed from those people that mean the most to us. But let me just remind you today, the church is not a building.
That's right.
The church is the body of Christ, and it's a living, bright, vibrant being that God will continue to use. Someone has said recently that with opportunities, disruptions produce opportunities that didn't exist before. So keep that in mind as you're moving and navigating through some of the uncertainties. We're having to make difficult decisions as it relates to the district. In fact, Pastor Don, we got on this quickly because we're not dealing with just one particular county or zip code. As a district, we're dealing with 10 geographical areas. And what's interesting is some of these areas within the district have not been affected. They've not had one case identified. I hate to say that it's just a matter of time, but if we don't take the necessary precautions, it could be.
Right.
It could be just a matter of time for everybody. We're all affected, regardless. So that district meetings have been canceled indefinitely until this thing is curtailed. The District Women's Conference last weekend, we had to make the decision to cancel the PK retreat. Fine Arts is postponed, and we anticipate that will happen. Or Ranger Powwow. District Council will have to be rescheduled and maybe a different format. Even if in the next 8 weeks it's lifted, we will be making a decision with the District Presbytery to modify that so that we can that information can be out there for you. For you guys, how is this affecting the local church and what's happening, Pastor Steve?
Well, we're obviously having to cancel activities and services, for that matter, working hard. I really believe that this could be one of the greatest outreach opportunities the church has, not in the church, but outside of the church. Tony Evans said several years ago that the football games are not won in the huddle, but are won on the playing field, where the church is the huddle, and you have to have the huddle to play the game. It's on the field that the game is won, and I think moving us the church, outside of the church, to be the evangelistic, the light, can be an opportunity to really bring hope to people all over our cities, all over our district, all over the nation. And if we will be what Jesus called us to be the light. You are the light of the world, you're the salt of the earth. And we have that opportunity to be the light and to bring hope of Jesus to people who are hopeless and in pain.
And people feel that hopelessness right
Absolutely,
now.
absolutely.
So affected by it. Pastor Don, you and I are receiving calls in the office as it relates to pastors having to make decisions that they've never made before.
Right.
Canceling services, canceling events. What are your thoughts?
Well, we just have to remember that that our God is a God of creativity. The Holy Spirit is a spirit of creativity and of newness. And as we seek after Him and pray and ask Him for wisdom, He said He'll give it to us.
That's right.
And this situation gets all of us out of our comfort zone. It's not comfortable, but it's going to be a great day for the church. It's going to be a wonderful time of personal spiritual growth. It's a time where we reevaluate what's really important, because we allow all of us get involved in things that are not important, things that are distractions. And now it's time to seek after God. And I guess what I would say is allow the Lord to use you to be hope to everyone that's around you. And start with your family. Start with your children. Pray with your children. Talk to them about this and let them know that what's really important. As we pray together, as we spend time around the table, I don't think I've ever eaten so many meals at home as I have in the last few days.
That's true.
Just time together with Beth and I, and an occasional visit from my granddog. But just time together and what's really important.
Well, as I shared with the Executive Presbytery this morning, three things that I would recommend during this time. One is to be prudent, be smart with the information that's been provided for us. Secondly, seek God. This is a time that we're being given to pray, to not only see God, but to hear from God. The scripture, if we call Him, He will answer. And I think the ideas that are being floated by me from pastors throughout our district are such creative ideas and just really quality opportunities that's being dropped into their spirit. But the third thing that I would advise us is to not only be smart, be prudent, seek God, but to trust God. God's not taken by surprise by any of this. And this may be the first in my lifetime to experience something like this, but it's not the first.
Right.
I was reading yesterday about the Spanish flu of the early 1900s, and 1/3 of the world's population were affected by it. The General Council of the Assemblies of God had to cancel the General Council in August of that year. So it's not the first. This will pass.
Absolutely.
We will, if people will comply with the recommendations that the government is giving us, and the people in authority over us with more knowledge than we, if they will comply, this will pass sooner, and we'll get back to whatever the normal is going to be at that time.
Right.
Normal will be different as we move past this disease.
Pastor Tim, the thought came to mind, if all of our church members would just make a few phone calls to your neighbors.
Right.
I mean, how extraordinary that would be in their life. Just calling to check on them. I just wanted to see how you're doing. Do you have everything you need? Would it be okay if I prayed with you? Those things would just be explosive. If our churches would do that, the Assemblies of God in South Texas would double by the time this tragedy is over. We would double in size. But just allow the Lord to use you to bless somebody.
Well, in times of crisis, the church has more opportunity than ever.
Absolutely.
People are hurting. People are fearful. People are anxious. So it wouldn't be difficult to find somebody who needs the church.
Just the other day at the grocery store, I was just in line with everybody else, and I went to try to find eggs and to find a dozen, and a man in front of us took the last one, and I noticed that there were some cartons pushed in the back, so I got up there and rearranged the cartons, found one in the back, and then my next one that I pulled out, I handed to the lady that was standing next to me. And it was almost like, somebody's nice to me, and I said, would you like this? And just those small things can mean so much in times like this.
You know, I was, off of what you said, we may be restricted on the number of people that we can meet with, but we're not restricted from the amount of telephone calls that we can make in the church to encourage one another, but also, as Pastor Don was saying, to encourage people outside of the church as well, to call on our neighbors, our friends, and just at work associates who may not be able to be at work. Ask them how they're doing. It may even be that we can extend a helping hand to them, more than just a word of encouragement or a prayer, something overt, but also something tangible to them, to help them through this. This could be the greatest evangelistic opportunity that the United States or the world has ever seen.
You're right. A friend of mine wore a t-shirt yesterday, which I had to order for myself, but it said, the church has left the building.
I like that.
And isn't that perfect?
I want one of those t-shirts.
Yeah, it's a perfect opportunity for the church to step up and be the church. We are not a building. We are a force to be reckoned with. And can I remind us today that Jesus says he's building it, and the gates of hell is not going to prevail. Coronavirus is not going to prevail against the church, against the opportunities that God has for us. With that being said, I think it's necessary that we state this. The recommendations that are being given to us by those in authority over us for Houston, it's the city county judge, it's the mayor, it's our president stating 10 people or less. That is a recommendation at this point. In some cases, it's mandated. It's important for the church to comply. We've got schools that are closed. We've got restaurants now that are closed. We've got other organizations, the sporting industry, all of those things that are closed. For the church not to do that, in my opinion, would be defiance. It would be saying, it applies to everybody but us. We don't want to be perceived that way because that's not our heart. We can be creative to gather the body of Christ more than just in a meeting at a specific time of the week.
True.
So it's important. I need to say this, that if you choose not to do that, please understand you've got to be comfortable with the liability and the risk that you assume. For the district-affiliated churches in South Texas, it's not an option. Right. We, as an executive leadership team of the district, have to say that you will comply with those mandates, because we cannot assume that liability. We don't want someone to walk into a gathering, be it 10 or less. We don't want someone to walk into a gathering that we have and infect other people with the disease, and we have to deal with that. Right. Emotionally, we have to deal with that. With liability, we have to deal with that. Let's just be smart. Let's just use the resources that we've been given to continue to be the church, to reach the people and help the hurting.